Would you like to become a fascinating personality, break free from plateaus, and gain power over your mental resources and your full potential? You came to the right place. Welcome to a magical journey to yourself. This show is made in Germany. If you like the show, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or puremindmagic.club. Welcome to Season 1, Shaping Your Reality. And here is your host, international magician, speaker, and book author, Victoria Mavis.
Gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to Pure Mind Magic and December 23rd of the Advent calendar that has no calories but only makes you smarter. And I'm sure when you have listened to a couple of episodes in the last 23 days, you already became smarter and learned a lot from my amazing international guests. Today on the show is Linda West. And I have to say, I found her about this time last year through an audiobook I was listening to while I was traveling to a seminar I was giving in the middle of Germany. So I heard it and I just loved what she was saying in the audiobook. And you know, this is one of these amazing things about podcasting because dreams come true and you are able to invite your heroes and all those people that have inspired you on some level. And Linda really did that. So I did some research and invited her to the show. And happily, she said yes. So we will discuss today about her book, The Frequency. This is my favorite book of her. She also has written several other books, and she is really a specialist when it comes to frequencies. So we will talk about manifesting with vibrations, and also she will explain how to use frequencies, how they work, and what the secrets behind the secrets are that were never told. Linda is really good when it comes to dating and love issues, so we will touch on that subject as well in this upcoming interview. Also, you get some hot tips on how to raise your frequency when you maybe don't feel like it at the moment. And I'm sure now Christmas is standing in front of the door. It's really a good idea to get into this mood of gratefulness so that you really can appreciate what is happening in the next days together with your family and get more into harmony. And before we start the interview, and it is December 23rd, I guess you won't get any more delivery when ordering today. So this is why I decided to just recommend as a small gift tip FIVERR to you. I have a link for you in the show notes, and FIVERR is like the other platform I recommended from UK the day before, where you can outsource anything you need done, like book covers or editing, video, graphics, web design, email sequences, editing, whatever you need for your book, maybe for next year or another project, videos, YouTube, whatever you are working on at the moment. There are also great people helping you with PR, like writing PR releases. So it's really a kind of a magic source to get things done. So this is my hot tip for today. Just click on the link, try it out, and everything there starts from only $5 if you haven't heard of FIVERR before. So have fun with it. But now it's time to really talk about frequencies and tune up your frequencies. You are perfectly right that you have tuned into this exact frequency here at the moment so that you will get this very important information about frequencies, vibration, and how to use it to manifest the life of your dreams. Here is for you on the show, Linda West. Hi, Linda. Welcome to Pure Mind Magic.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And it's really that there is some magic to books because it was actually one of your books that lead to this very interview right now.
Yep. I think you're talking about the frequency.
Yes, you're right. And we will reveal some wisdom about frequencies and how to manifest with frequencies for you in this episode. But before we dive into this, Linda, before I hit the record button, you shared also something very special with me that has to do with magic. So what is it about magic and your father?
Oh, yeah. Well, my father, on the side from his regular job, he was a phys ed coach, he did magic. He did magic, even Houdini-esque, where he would saw an ice circle in Lake Erie, which is always frozen, and do Houdini escape acts. Crazy stuff. We had doves and rabbits all over our house and levitists over and hypnotists and ever since I was little, I always was hearing, pick a card, and I find it interesting now when I do tarot or something for someone, I'm like, pick a card. Different kind of magic.
Yes, it always starts with pick a card. And for everyone who's listening and who is interested in Houdini, I did a special episode on Houdini, what you can learn from Houdini for your business. It's episode 46 of the Pure Mind Magic podcast. But now, Linda, we heard something of your father and your childhood. And obviously there were some magical influences in your life already at a young age. But what are you doing today?
What am I doing today? Oh my goodness. So much I'm doing today. Well, I still am active on YouTube doing videos about frequency, trying to teach people frequency and manifesting. I also counsel people every day all over the world via Skype like this on all sorts of issues having to do with frequencies. Some people want to learn how to just, use their manifesting ability better or understand why they're getting blocks or what's sabotaging them, which always comes down to us going around the triangle. So we can talk about that later. But I also work a lot with people trying to find true love, not just, we're usually talking about dating, but very often there's patterns set down that need to be changed for, long-term happiness. And it's just showing up currently in their dating or in their current relationship. So I like to work with people finding true love because I think it's the highest frequency on the planet and in the universe. So it's the most important thing, from there, all our cups are filled and hopefully we'll take care of the planet and stop ruining things around here. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm in the middle of writing 2 new books, actually, both of them nonfiction. I'm writing one that's called How to Talk to Dead People and Other Disembodied Divine Spirits. And then I'm doing Love Notes from Lemuria, which is direct channelings from the lost continent of Lemuria. So that's what I'm working on now.
Yeah, Linda, this is really a lot, and you are a serial author, we could say, and you published already a couple of books, and my favorite book is really The Frequency, and I will put a link to the book directly in the show notes below this episode. So I think everyone in the audience is curious now how you work with frequencies. Maybe you can break it down. What are frequencies and how can they help us manifest our desires?
Okay, I can do that. And after we're done here, you're going to have the ability to do this right away because you were born with the ability to do it. So I'm just going to help you remember now the simple steps. So here it is. It's number one is understanding that everything in the universe is a frequency, that by the time we break things down to their very core essence, they're vibrating light waves. That's the first thing. And when I talk about everything, I think that we need to, you were talking about that box, that Houdini box, that was brilliant. Maybe you can bring that up later. But we have to get out of the box, and we have to understand that when we're talking about frequencies, we're not just talking about matter aspects of frequency, for instance, that we were taught when we were children, like a desk or a rock is vibrating slower matter than a bird or, a butterfly. Frequencies are also ideas. Frequencies are feelings, and frequencies are events. Or rather, events have a frequency. Ideas and dreams have a frequency. So when we're talking about frequencies, you have to understand that everything in you is a frequency, everything around you is a frequency, and everything you want is a frequency. Okay. Second thing you need to understand about frequencies is that all of these light waves that are vibrating, all these frequencies actually vibrate at a certain level that is, the Mayans use 13, so I use that. 1 to 12 being material aspects of being, with the 13th always being the transcendent space void. We always see it throughout classic literature and the apostles and Jesus, the 12 dimensions, and then the divine, the 12 Knights of the Round Table, and then Arthur. The 13th aspect represents the space, or a figure such as, Buddha, Jesus, Arthur, that represents holding that divine space. So the 13th is the divine space that connects us all. And I just want to take a second and say, Einstein said that we are 99.9999% space. So we are that miracle already. So to leap to the fact that we can get something in the third dimension, which is the most flattened low frequency dimension, is really no problem. It's just about remembering. So moving on. So everything is a frequency, and all those frequencies have an actual vibrating level of consciousness. So for instance, we'll use numbers here because very often when you get into dealing with, say, something in your life that's upsetting you, heartbreak or illness, it's difficult to be what are they trying to say? Discerning and objective about it, which is why they put a number on it. So I'm going to help you with this in a second. But for today, we're going to use the purposes of 1 being the lowest frequency of death, hatred, poverty, war, fatal illness. And then 13 representing everything that's the highest divine that we could expect in any of our divine figures or spirits. Most of us and most of your listeners that are here, I found, are resonating much above the normal Earth frequency, which is rising to about an 8 right now on the scale. The Earth frequency and the human frequency has been the same. Earth started moving up in frequency, and we've been catching up to that. But of course, all the conscious souls have been holding a higher vibration than most of the humans for a longer time. So, those are I can't say enough when it says it in so much of the literature, Bibles and other prose about like how important it is to hold that love in your own life and like really be that vibration, because it does make a difference. And so if we, the listeners here, and you and I, Victoria, are on 11, that's a very good high frequency. Okay, so now let's take that to things in our everyday life that we want to deal with in the third dimension. And I'm going to say to you, you answer back to me, Victoria, and out there, if you I don't know if people can comment live or not. They could ask questions if they want to. But let's say if I was going to say to you, okay, if love and divine and children singing is a 13 and death and war is a 1, where would you put losing your job at?
Well, then it depends, but I think maybe a 3.
Okay, good. In this case, don't think about it, just feel it. Okay, and where would you put like getting the job of your dreams?
Would be a 10.
Okay, and how about meeting true love?
I would say 11.
Okay, okay. So how about a broken leg?
Also 3, I guess.
Okay, so right now we've just thrown out some circumstances that happen with people. Fall in love, get a job, lose a job, have an accident. Okay, and so if we know that all the good stuff happens on the high frequencies, right? That's where all the stuff you want is. And we understand that all the bad stuff happens on the low frequencies, then we can begin to understand our choices. Okay, that's the second part. So everything in the universe is a frequency or light wave. Secondly, all of those light waves or frequency have an energetic keynote or frequency level. And then thirdly is the law of affinity, or like attracts like, which means like frequencies attract like frequencies. So in your own life, you will have people around you, I'm sure, that you feel very comfortable with, that are a very similar frequency to you, and you guys bounce off of each other and everything's great. And then in comes that cog in the wheel, that one Debbie Downer or whoever, it's the boss, the mother-in-law, the sister, or somebody that's just like always just manages to bring you down, right? It's like right there we're looking at a very, very average example of frequency attunement in your life. When you feel good about something, when it feels right to you, you're sitting in a frequency that's at the level that you're at. When you want more, you're wanting to, like a dream and get something wonderful. Let's talk about that. Okay. First of all, I have to say, number one, this is what White Eagle always says to me is the most important. And it's like, you're going to run into a lot of junk frequencies in the third dimension. We've got gravity and taxes, for Pete's sake. And we've got a lot of mean people. And we've got people that are jealous. We've got people that are lost. And then we've got all the other stuff going on out there. So try not to take anything personal when you run into, I call them a crap maker. That means somebody that no matter who gets in front of them, they're going to crap on them. Like, you can't take that personal. The only thing is like, get away from the crap maker as soon as possible. If it's a person in your life, it's a job in your life, if it's a bad habit in your life, without judgment, just begin to move away from it as quickly as possible, because everything that you want happens in the high frequencies. And if you're having these low frequency things pull on you or be in your life, like you have a mate that's abusive, for instance, you can't expect to get successful and, lose that 20 pounds or whatever's going on, or get healthy, because if you have an abusive mate, I can assure you, you're not getting your dreams. You're struggling with weight, and you're struggling with issues of health or mental health, because if you're down there with an abusive mate, you can't get better. You're being drawn to that harmonic. So the answer is always to go higher. So the first thing is you have to sweep the lower frequencies out, which I find is the hardest thing for people, because it's kind of like quicksand when you're in the lower frequencies. Like depression lives there too, for instance. So, and lethargy and hopelessness. So all of these things going together is like, people don't want to do the things that used to make them happy. They don't want to go to the gym and, work on their body and their energy level. They don't want to eat the good food for them, or watch something inspiring as opposed to, something, depressing. So when people are in these lower frequencies, and if you're seeing that you're there, somebody you love is there, the answer is always slowly to add higher frequency things. If you're dealing with somebody, or you find yourself in a low frequency, and you try and go straight to feeling awesome, you're going to get a big resistance, because you're not ready to fly up that high. But as soon as you start adding maybe some music or things that are more divine, like nature, that'll start to lift you, you'll find that then you can start to add things that are higher frequency to get you into the highest frequency possible. Because to get what you want manifesting, you have to send it out at the highest frequency possible. Because nothing manifests from fear and worry in the lower frequency. So if you're living down there and wondering why the mortgage payment's not coming in and everything like that, it's not because you can't magically pull in the money. It's because you can't pull it in on that frequency.
That was so much pure wisdom, Linda, you shared there with us. And I think everyone understood now the difference between the low frequencies and the high frequencies. And I most liked when you said everything you want is in high frequency. So you also mentioned in the beginning, Linda, that everything is frequency and also everything we want is frequency, meaning that we have to match our frequency we are vibrating at the moment with the frequency of the object, circumstances, or partner we want to attract it into our lives. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got it. Absolutely right. So what's the next question?
So you are the expert. And when we break that down, what would you say are the first steps and practical tips to rise the frequency and to tune in to the frequency of the thing we want? You mentioned that we could start to listen to music to get the frequency up, but let's say we feel good, but we are not yet on this high frequency that would pull in the thing we want to have.
Good, really good question. How is always like, how do I do it now? Take me there. There are so many ways to get up there that I can recommend, but I truly think that the most powerful and the easiest that you can begin to do right now, even if you or somebody you love is in, I worked in high-end rehabs for a long time with addicts too. And I would say the same if you have somebody that's really in that kind of dangerous frequency. There are on YouTube, I highly recommend them, or you can find them anywhere, but they're on YouTube for free. And I recommend Louise Hay's Mass Affirmations on self-worth and self-esteem. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it sounds like very trite and almost cliche, like, oh, listen to affirmations, but this is why it's different, and this is why I want you to start here, is because almost all of my clients that I get to work with one-on-one, and we get to the core reason of why they're not manifesting what they want. It's not because they're not doing it right, which the steps I'll give you next, but it's because they can't get over this initial issue, and that is lack of self-love. Now, before the age of 5, we get programmed kind of like a CD or an old album or like a program in a computer where we get jing jing, and everything gets written on this program, everything we take in. And as open young souls that haven't shut down yet, we take in a lot around us that is correct and a lot that's incorrect. And sadly, whether this is a vibration of the third dimension or where the people and family currently is, for some reason, 98% of my clients, including my famous, gorgeous, rich, talented clients, don't truly love themselves deep down. So they'll for instance, say we're looking at like Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade. They just hung themselves at the height of their careers. They're still young. Why? Why would people do this? It's because deep down, even when they got it all, they realized they still didn't feel happy. They didn't feel fulfilled because they didn't love themselves. So if fame won't make you love yourself, and success doesn't make you love yourself, and the perfect partner doesn't make it, and the perfect body and the perfect face and all the money in the world, then what is it? It's you. It's you have to tell yourself, I'm okay. I'm okay the way I am. True. I don't think anybody should rest on their laurels and not get better and be a sloth. I think we have to continually work on our consciousness, mind, body, spirit. But I'm talking about like today, you're good. You're awesome right now. And if you messed up or did things or, things you didn't like, they brought you to where you are now, knowing the right choice. So it's like, but how do I talk you into loving yourself after somewhere from 1 to 5, you built this frequency where you didn't love yourself. And then in each of our lives, whether it was in the money arena or the love arena or the, success or talent arena or body arena, you'll find these successful people that are hugely overweight and you're like, okay, they take care of all of their life, but why can't they put this under their control? Like Oprah struggled with that, and it was like, she's supposed to be the great manifestor, billionaire, blah, blah, blah. She couldn't keep her own weight under control. Why? Ultimately, she had the same rip in her self-esteem that the third dimensional imprint gives. So when you start listening to mass affirmations, what happens is they start overlaying the old pattern because you can't get rid of it. I've worked with top Harvard psychologists. You can go back and find out why you hate yourself. You got raped or something happened. You did something shameful, truly, or nothing. Some accident happened and you took it wrong. But it doesn't change how you feel about yourself because what happens is it forms kind of like this shadow energy in your childhood saying, I'm not good enough, or I'm shameful, and I don't really know how to deal with the fact that even if I was a victim, it was an adult, so they're always right. So therefore, something must be wrong with me. So you form this shadow energy of not being good. And it doesn't matter that you're a wonderful divine child. What happens then is you hold this frequency and you stick it in your programming way down deep, like the fight or flight, kind of complex. And it burps up when you least expect it to remind you, like, you suck. You're not good enough to get that mate. He's going to leave you or cheat on you, or like, you're not good enough to get that job you want. It's like, and all of a sudden you're confronted with this. And, I went through the same thing in my personal life. I was screen testing. I was an actress. I was with Warren Beatty screen testing, and my lips started shaking uncontrollably. Like they're like, what's going on with your lip? I'm like, I don't know. I'll tell you what was going on with my lip. My inside said, no way you're going to be a movie star. No way you're going to be a movie star. Because why? Because I didn't feel like I was worthy enough. So the way I found to change this is, you'll listen to people talk about writing down affirmations and all of that. Great, fabulous. Vision boards, love it all. We'll get into that. But ultimately, you can't say enough affirmations to yourself or write down that you need to repattern yourself. So Louise Hayes I like hers because I feel that they are the most loving, but you can choose whichever ones you want. But they have to be self-affirming, self-loving, respecting, and you listen to them for, I would say, 2 hours a day. 2 hours a day while you're doing your laundry, while you're doing your, errands, or while you're going to sleep. And you begin to overlay this message to your subconscious that says, I'm awesome. I'm awesome just being me. I'm awesome, whatever, and what's not awesome, I'm working on. And so you're going to change your pattern. And when you change your pattern, the life you're living is going to change. And so this is my best recommendation. If you do nothing else, listen to these self-worth tapes, because I can guarantee you, from working with people around the world for years and years and channeling and being in the rainforest, all of it, this is the answer: self-love. And you have to program yourself. This is how you take control of your own destiny. You program in the frequencies you want. Don't take what you got. Keep what you love, but program. If you need money, program in the wealth affirmations. There's millions of great ones out there for that too. Great. Money's awesome. I want to buy the rainforest as soon as I make my $1 billion so I can protect it. Good people should get money. So don't feel bad about getting money. Okay, sorry, I've been talking a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was really, again, some awesome information you shared. Really interesting what you said about the shadow energy. Never heard that wording before, but that makes a lot of sense. And I always tell people that we only see what we know. And this is why our life very often keeps repeating itself in these patterns. And we really have to do this pattern interrupt, what you said so nicely, with repattering our brain, our mind. And I also loved the example you brought about Oprah. Never thought of that, but you're so right. I mean, she is a billionaire, everyone knows, and she has all this fame, but very interesting why, yeah, she had to struggle with another part in her life here. So you mentioned also, Linda, that we are kind of moving in triangles in life, and you wanted to touch on that.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, if any of your viewers want to contact me at, through my email, I'll give to you later. Mm-hmm. I will send them this book for free. I give it to my subscriber list. It's a book I wrote specifically to help people with this because I touched briefly on it in the frequency, but I felt like I needed to write a whole book around it. It's called The Triangle Plan. And basically, we're in the third dimension, and it's the first dimension where anything can take on form or matter at all. The first dimension is a dot. The second dimension is a line. So the third dimension becomes a triangle in which now we have sacred geometry. We have the ability to like create matter. And it's very interesting that we find ourselves squished into this dimension and then hating ourselves, like, we're probably the best and the brightest that like literally like decided to go for the rest of, for the rest of everybody else. And because this is such a difficult place to be, just vibrationally. And I think everyone that chose to be here is a darn hero. So just let me say thank you, all of you, for showing up because this has been a very dark place, and we have a very high road ahead of us, a holy road of raising the vibration, bringing love back to ourselves, our planet. And so getting to the triangle. See, this is another thing I find where people, and I want you look, I'm going to show you exactly the 5 steps on how I teach people to use the frequency to create what you want. But right now I'm giving you the 2 steps to stop yourself from blocking yourself from getting what you want and calling me up and saying like, I did everything, but why not? So the first one is the self-esteem issues. The second one is the triangle. Okay. Very often we fail to recognize that we only manifest things if all 3 parts of us agree on it. We have what I like to refer to as our own 3 little congressional check system here. Oh, well, you're in Europe. So in America, we have the 3 government sections that are supposed to be checks and balances on each other. So one of them doesn't have too much power. So this is the same thing inside of our being. We are a mind being, we are a body being in the 3rd dimension, and we are a spiritual being. So in the 3rd dimension, we are all 3 of those. So for anything to truly manifest here and take form, you need the geometry to be in place for that. In other words, you need your mind, body, and spirit to be on board for this, okay? So a quick example. Say you meet somebody in your life and you're out there in the dating world or whatnot, and maybe they're gorgeous and you're like, oh my God, this guy is a stud, she's gorgeous or whatnot, and then on top of it, maybe they have they're very smart, they're very capable and very smart, so you can respect them on a mental level, you can bring them home to your parents, they're not going to embarrass you. But on a spirit level, they don't care about spirituality, or maybe they don't really care about the homeless, or they don't care about much of anything to do with true passion and being a spiritual being, and they're spiritually dead. Well, you're not going to fall in love with that person. It's like, because when you're not, it's only when you get a go from the mind, body, and spirit. That's that person you'll date for a while because they're cute and whatever. Why? But I just don't feel it, and you don't feel it because your mind, body, spirit haven't all said yes. So let's segue this over to whoever's listening. Personal dream. And so I will say to you right now, what is your dream? First of all, number one, that seems to be the biggest problem. And this is number one in getting what you want. What do you want? And I mean, what do you really want? I notice in Harry Potter when they point the wand, right, and they make magic happen, they know exactly what they want. I want the door to open. I want this person to fall over. I want this person to forget. But they know what they want. Very often people will come and want to manifest something, and they really haven't, understood what they truly want. And so to give you one more example that you might be able to use in your own life if you're listening is I was working with a client, and you may remember this from my book, Secrets the Secret Never Told You, which is more client kind of testimonials so people can understand how the work goes. And he was wanting to be the CEO of his company. You know what I mean? He was sitting up there in middle management. He was going up, but slowly. And he was just he was one of those guys. He wanted to be the CEO. He wanted to be CEO. He's like, why aren't I manifesting this? Blah, blah. I read all the books. I got the schooling, blah, 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 all this, right? So I started working with him. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And when it got down to it, it was very interesting because I said, okay, well, let's talk about this job as CEO. What's it going to look like? He's like, well, it's I'll be traveling a lot and I'll have all this power and it's just and I'll be making so much money. I know $500,000 a year or something. I said, okay, yeah. So how many hours a week is that? He's like, oh my God, well, you're married to the company. It's it could be every day, all day long. You could be in China. I said, okay, how do you feel about working all those hours and being away from home a majority of the year? And he's like, well, I'm not really crazy about that part. He's like, because I got a family and I have kids, softball games and stuff. So I like to be home on the weekend and spend time with them. And I'm like, okay, so what you're telling me here is that your mind is saying, I want the CEO job. It's the best job. It makes the most money. I'll have the most power. But when I talk to you, your body, your family, you're saying is also a high priority where that job does not work at all. And also your spirit over there is like, well, how do you feel about it as far as being a passion? Well, it's not really my passion. I'd be doing it for the money and for the to go up the ladder. Right. So his spirit and his body did not want him to be a CEO. Only his mind wanted it. So it's once we got clear on that, was he could see why he wasn't manifesting it, because he didn't, not all parts of him wanted it, just one dominant part that was yes, it's got to be this. So then we looked at it and I said, well, what do you want? Let's create what you really want. So then that becomes a completely different thing, because then each part of you has a voice. You can be realistic. People will say to me all the time, I want to switch jobs. I'm like, okay, what do you want? And they'll be like, well, I want more money. That's usually an obvious. I'm like, but yeah, how much free time do you want? Do you want to go into a office and dress up, or do you want to stay home and have a glass of wine in your hand? What do you want? What do you want the actual physical place that you go to work every day to feel like and be like? And the same thing with your spirit. What do you want to feel like? Do you want to feel like you're making a difference in the world? Do you want to feel like you're creating art? Do you want to feel like you're just whatever, fulfilling some need? The bottom line is, you really have to talk to all three parts of yourself to come to an agreement on what's really good for you, what will really make you happy. So I don't think people ask themselves enough. They'll ask their mind, but they won't ask their spirit. Your spirit's no way I am sitting behind a desk. There's no way I'm getting dressed up in some three-piece suit and sitting behind a desk. Not going to happen. I don't care if I went to Harvard. I don't care if I want to make money. That's not how I'm going to do it. And I say, great, perfect. Now we know what you want. Because once we really know what you want, mind, body, and spirit, getting it's just a skip. The toughest part is really figuring out what you want, because once your mind, body, and spirit agree, there's no stopping you. Because then you will be creating the frequencies that you want with your spirit. Yes, 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 I want this. And on a body level, you'll be doing the things you need to do, taking the classes or the courses or networking. And then on a mental level, you'll be doing all the things you need to learn or people you need to communicate with to make your dream happen. And all of a sudden, when you're going after something, mind, body, and spirit, you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable in any dimension, but definitely it's the answer in the third dimension.
Yeah, that makes really sense. And I think what you're talking here is about alignment and being really in alignment with yourself, with your mind, body, and spirit, and also with this thing you really want. So, Linda, what I think is also interesting for the listeners, and you touched on it a little bit about the wealth creation. So what are the best tips to align with the frequency of money coming in easily?
Again, I will tell you, after all these years and all these experiences, the best advice to make money is to raise your frequency. So how do you raise your frequency? We're going to go back to the first two. You have self-esteem, you love yourself, and you repattern your money issues so that they're working for you instead of against you. Because the truth is, if you grew up in a blue-collar family, you have a blue-collar imprint. No problem, but that means if you're going to be a millionaire, you're going to have to change your imprint. So how are you going to do that? You're not going to do it just by going to school. You have to do it by changing the frequency pattern that's inside of you, which is why I tell people to listen to mass affirmations on wealth if they don't have a rich family background already, because you just don't have the program. It's why children of rich parents often go on to be successful with money, although they might end up, believe me, I had enough of them in the rehabs as addicts or losing the people they love. So, they might make it on the money. It doesn't mean the rest of their life is perfect, but they got the money program from their rich parents. So, it's kind of like if you grew up with healthy parents that always fed you salads and healthy food. Well, lucky you. You don't have to worry about learning to eat healthy. You got the healthy thing. If you grew up someplace else, maybe you just got sides of beef and potatoes all the time. You never had a salad. That's going to have to be something you bring into the fold, because that's not your patterning. Do you understand?
Yes, absolutely. So I love that. This is almost like a magical formula. Raise your frequency and then you can have it. So Linda, for everyone who is listening now, and I would really strongly recommend to read your book, The Frequency, or listen to the audiobook as I did. So when I was traveling through Germany for 4 hours, I listened to it almost in one piece because it was so strong and I couldn't stop it. So you have to experience it. Yeah. And so for everyone who's listening and thinking about diving deeper in and also learning all the connections and how you can create this alignment and repattern yourself, you mentioned that you are doing this coaching. How can people reach out and connect with you?
Okay, thanks for asking. Yeah, you can go. I have a website called morningmayan.com. Morning, just like good morning, Mayan, like the Mayan calendar. So morningmayan.com. You can also get a hold of me directly at morningmayan@gmail. On my website, you can learn about my books and my counseling and my coaching and my channeling and book sessions there if you want, or get a hold of me there, or join my email list, and I will send you the triangle plan for free, no problem, digitally, so you can get working on that right away. But yeah, morningmind.com. I'm on YouTube, of course, as well, with lots of frequency videos. So I used to lecture quite extensively, and then instead I just put it on YouTube. So you can go and listen to all of that too. Just, I have a great one, actually. I have a great video that's called the 7 Keys to Raising Your Frequency. And I highly recommend that for some ideas on how to get your frequency up if you're feeling down in the dregs.
That makes sense. So I will see to put also links to the videos in the show notes as well to make it easy for the listeners to find all your resources. So Linda, it was such a pleasure having you as a guest on Pure Mind Magic today. I hope we stay in contact and maybe I can even bring you back to the show. So the last words of today's episode are up to you. With what wisdom would you leave the listeners inspired for today?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for having me, Victoria. And I'm excited about our early magic connections and continued magic connections. But since I didn't really tell everybody the how-to of it, I just briefly, once you you get your self-esteem repatterned. And once you get sure on what you want, then the best advice I can give you to bring it in effortlessly is just surround yourself with things that remind you of what you want. When I, ended up, doing the most amazing things, it was like I was listening to videos on it. I had posters of surfing. I was watching them do it. I picked out where I wanted to go, the dates, everything. And when out of the blue, somebody called me and said, I had an accident. I need you to help me. Would you come to Hawaii on our surf trip with us for free and I'll pay for everything? It's like, all of a sudden I was in that place that I had on my wall, in the posters, in, the videos. So why? I loved it. Every bit of me wanted to get in that water. I wanted to surf, wanted to be in the ocean, wanted to be by Diamond Head. So I tell you, if you love it, if you truly love it, it's already coming in. It's already there. And just love it more. Watch more videos on it. Paint pictures about it. Dance around and think about it. I mean, I have a 5-step program that you can do also, but just love it. Whisk the self-esteem problems out of the way and then just focus on what you love. It's that easy. In the end, I can give you the easy step. But when you get there and you're in your power, it's just going to be deciding what's really good for you and then saying, yes, I love that. I want that. And then it'll come in. I assure you, it's for everybody. It's not just for some. It's a law of the universe. It's a divine law of the universe. It's math. It's not maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to Pure Mind Magic today and my interview with Linda West. I hope you all are at a higher frequency now and learned a lot on how to work with frequencies. I can just highly recommend that you grab a copy of her book, The Frequency. It is really a good and pure wisdom inside. Also, remember, you can check out the creative platform to outsource anything you have in your mind at the moment. That is FIVERR, and there is a link below to get started with only $5. Tomorrow we hit December 24th, and I completed my challenge with 24 episodes in 24 days, what was actually a ton of work. So I did it all by myself, all the editing, just everything for you to provide you with some great knowledge for Christmas. And tomorrow I have, of course, because it is December 24th, I was looking for a really special guest, and maybe I just attracted him to me and we instantly connected. His name is Antonio T. Smith Jr. That is his name. And he works with Les Brown. He is really amazing because he is a celebrity business advisor and gave already more than 2,000 keynotes all over the world. This man is just stunning. He went from homeless to multi-millionaire, and he has an energy that blows you away. So I decided this is the perfect episode for tomorrow, for December 24th and Christmas 2018. I wish you all the best today with the last Christmas preparations. Create some magic moments. Talk to you tomorrow. Until then, create some magic.